The next talk will feature Tina Lorenz. They have an outstanding CV, it was really hard to summarize, really ranging from lectures in theater history to funding a digital theater. Today, they will tell us more about artistic research practices and how the artistic process is intertwined with the hacker mentality. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you.
Give it up, please. Come on. What is that?
Yeah. Thank you. This is past my bedtime, so this really hyped me up. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you about artistic research and what it is and what it has to do with mushrooms and strong AI, and I'll give a couple of examples. My name is Tina Lorenz. I've been in the Chaos Computer Club for ages, but I am a theater practitioner by trade. And I started working in January at the ZKM, the Zentrum für Kunst und Medien in Karlsruhe, the Center for Art and Media. And the Center for Art and Media is a very fascinating institution because it's not unlike the CCC. It's also been founded in the 80s. The CCC was founded in 1981, as we all know. The ZKM was founded in 1988, so in the very similar circumstances. And it moved to where it is now, an old munitions factory in Karlsruhe in 1997. It's a very good year, a very prolific year also for the ZKM. And we have 19,000 square meters exhibition space, which is a lot. It's a lot of space to fill, but the ZKM, the first thing you learn about the ZKM when you start there is this is not a museum. So it is not a museum, it is much, much more. It has studios and ateliers for artists. It has a concert space called the Kubus, which is also a recording studio with a sound dome. And it does media art. It is like the art and beauty, like in the hacker ethics, you can create art and beauty with a computer. This is basically the funding principle also of the ZKM. In 1988, there was a manifesto that said, we need these new technologies. We need to bring that to the people. Nobody understands it, and we need to understand what we're dealing with, because we need to find consensus about what we want to do with those things. And this consensus is still very, very relevant today. I don't know if you heard Constance's talk about, or the Bits and Bäume talk about the sustainability of AI, but this is a real question. And we need to talk about the consensus of what we want to do with technology and how we want to deal with it. And art and artistic research can help. So, this is fun. This is not a me problem. This is a you problem. I can't fix it because my computer is fine. I can try turning it on and off again. Let's see. You know, I was joking before that interpretive dance is the technology of the future, and apparently it is. So, what the ZKM does next to exhibition, we have a large archive. We are one of the very few institutions that archive media art. And when you think about your technology projects, maybe your art and beauty projects, and you are thinking about archiving it, will it work in 20 years? Maybe not, probably not, because the monitors that were used in 1980s, 1990s media art, they're no longer produced. The parts are not there. You cannot fix them. We have to repair them. So archiving media art is a problem. Archiving media art that uses AI is a whole beast of a problem. But this is something that we do. We also restore media art. We just restored a large work of Namjoon Paik, who is a media artist, a pretty famous one, and he uses those monitors that are no longer built. We also do historical research into media history. We do artistic research, which is what my department, the Hertzlab, does. And we do publications. We have our own publication department. And we also do mediation. So we bring the knowledge and the media art to the people. And this is the foundation of the ZKM. And so the Hertzlab, which is the department I work in, it's called the Artistic Research and Development Department, which Basically, we are the nerds, we do the tinkering, we do the art and beauty projects. So we have our own projects, but we also do concerts in the Sound Dome, we have showcases, we do productions, and we have a large residency program, because artistic research does not only happen in Karlsruhe, it does not only happen in Europe, it happens all over the place. And so we work together with other institutions, with the Goethe Institute worldwide, to bring people to Karlsruhe, to also bring people from Europe to other parts of the world, to foster new perspectives and to foster connection between people with technology. And this is what we do. And artistic research is a rather new thing, because it doesn't have this long tradition. It's not that old, and it's different from scientific research, and it's also different from artistic practice. So scientific research is looking for knowledge. It wants to produce knowledge. It wants to produce truth, so to say. And it does so very rigorously. You know what I mean? So you have methods, you have peer-reviewed journals, you have debate, and it's all very structured. You can't just say, oh, I have a neat idea, let's try this, but it needs to be very structured because it needs to be reproducible, it needs to be tested. And artistic practice, on the very far end of the spectrum, is sometimes concerned with aesthetics, concerned with not a very practical approach, because art may be allowed to be art, it's totally fine, but artistic research sits somewhere in between. So it is not bound to the rigor of scientific research, but it is also not only aesthetics or concerned with aesthetics. It also wants to produce knowledge. But this knowledge can be different from scientific knowledge. And sometimes science tends to co-opt artistic research because it is so well, it lends itself so well for communication. Oh, we have a scientific breakthrough. Let's call the artists and they communicate it to the public. This is fine. This is totally fine. But this is not all what artistic research is. Because artistic research, artists have their very own view on the world. They have their own perspective. And they can ask questions that science just cannot ask. Like, why are you doing it this way? Why are we interested in that? Why are we not interested in something else? Or in that specific detail. Science might not be interested in that because they have their own agenda, their own industry, so to speak, and artists can ask those questions. So it's important that we have artistic research, and also it's also important that artistic research does not have to end in a work. It can also end in something that we have learned, and it can end in the public learning something new about the world, or themselves, or their society. So it is a piece of the puzzle, and it's an important piece of the puzzle, and it's a piece of the puzzle that is getting more traction. And so in Hertzlab at ZKM, what we do is we have 6 broad topics that we want to look at in the next years, because we think these are broad enough to allow us a lot of topics and a lot of exploration, but they're still relevant. And these are life cycles, connect, a commons world, health and well-being, post-human earth, and fellow futures. So life cycles, if you've been to the talk before, it is really, really relevant that we go from a linear narrative to a circular narrative. So the linear narrative is, I'm born, I live my life, I die, what comes after is none of my concern. But we need to have this whole mindset shift about how it's important that we are within a circle, a cycle. And we are not doing that right now, because consumer society, capitalism, all the systems are rigged against that mindset. And we think that art and artistic research can help bring that mindset shift about. And how we are doing that, for example, is we are working in Karlsruhe. There is a very ambitious project in Karlsruhe, which is called it's a cycle industry. It's an industry floor, and they want to remanufacture and recycle things in a fully automated process. And this is, well, a very, very long shot. It's not going to happen for a long time. But this is the right idea, because right now, the Bits and Bäume people, they talked about recycling rare materials like lithium. And lithium is a resource that is ending. It does have an end. It's a finite resource. And we have all the lithium that we need in the world. We have. But it's built into 1 million forms of batteries. Small batteries, big batteries, auto car batteries, e-cigarette batteries. And they cannot be recycled the same because they're all different shapes. They're all different forms. They're all different components. And it's important that we automate this process to come into a cycle mentality. So we are working with them to make art projects to help people come into this mindset. This can look like a repair cafe, which is a very simple way of doing it. It's been done, we've not invented that, but we need to get people into this mindset, and so this is what we're trying to do. Connect is also a topic that we think is very important, because how will we shape our connections, our interpersonal connections, when it's done through technology? And this has been around since we've been writing letters, and letters got intercepted, and then there's period drama resulting, and we know all the big theater pieces are centered around that, so this is not a new topic, but it's getting increasingly important in a time where communication might not be between two humans anymore. We don't have a reverse Turing test. We don't know if the person I'm talking to on the internet is actually a human. It doesn't have to be a human. It can also be a restaurant posing as a man, luring women into its, restaurant. And when they got stood up, they're eating there. Look it up. It's a real story. Scamming by AI is now a thing. So make sure you know, or you kind of find out, is that a human I'm talking to? So this is a topic that's going to gain more traction. A commons world is, we think it's very important. Well, I don't have to tell you, it's very important that we think about the commons, that all software that we do, we are a publicly founded institution, that the software is also publicly available that we write, but also that we live in one world. And this also ties into life cycles. We are not as different. And sometimes in this time, it's hard to forget. It's easy to forget that. So this is something that we want to focus on. Health and well-being is also a very, very prevalent topic. It's a topic that has even gained more importance after COVID, after we've been isolated a lot. You've all seen the statistics about the loneliness epidemic, about mental health degradation in young people, about how we are all feeling isolated and alone. And so this is something that is important. And the last two, they tie into, post-human Earth ties into human and machine collaboration, and also into taking the human out of the question. So what kind of music would robots make if people were not there to hear it? Would they do music? What would they do if we were not here to listen to it? And Fellow Futures is about, well, you know that we live in the sci-fi of the 80s. If you've read science fiction of the 80s, the dystopian science fiction kind, you know that is just Tuesday, right? So we live in that kind of science fiction, but what does science fiction narratives look like for people whose island won't be there in 50 years? What does science fiction, or what does a future narrative look like to people who are very, very much concerned with their future, because it's really going to be a drastic change for them. So this is what we want to look at. And the way we are doing that is with different projects. So this is a project that we made in May. This is an exhibition. It's called Flatware, Hardware, Software, Wetware, because at ZKM, which I didn't know, has a collection of paintings. And this, for a media art institution, is a bit surprising. Well, it was for me, but we have a collection of paintings and photographs. And so what we did is we made a project about how are we going to trust each other? How are we going to define trust? And how are we going to trust institutions? Because in Germany, we go to a museum to be educated. This is something that we learn. We go with the schools, and this is something we expect. In other parts of the world, it might be different. A Korean curator once told me, in Korea, you go to the museum to be entertained. We go to be educated. So we expect the truth. We expect in the label that somebody who has studied the matter is going to tell me what is on that picture, why is there a currywurst in the woods, what did Werner Büttner, who is the artist of that picture, what did he mean by it? This is something that we expect. And what we did is we used electronic text labels that we had from a former project, and we made RFID chips as keys, and we had 16 different narratives, and people touched their keys to the label, and the label generated live a text. And it could be a snarky AI saying, oh, you know, this is such a bad picture, I don't know. It could be all the pictures have been painted by local painters, all the pictures have been painted by sad robots after the apocalypse. All the painters really loved pasta. And so it was very, very easy to discern this is not true. It's completely false. And it generated a lot of frustration in the audience because they expected truth. And we just gave them AI-generated bullshit, which was very, very convincing, though, because it was like, yeah, no, this is a Karlsruhe local painter, or this is, you know, this was painted by a sad robot. And the thing is that we wanted to erode the trust in the institution. We wanted to ask those questions. And here's my colleague Dan testing it. He built that thing together with 2 other colleagues. And we wanted to test, you know, how would people react, and will they, because you're alone with the artwork in the end. You have to figure out, what does the currywurst in the woods, what does it mean to me? Because I'm not giving you the answer. You have to decide for yourself. And who painted it? And who was that? And is it interesting for me? And does it tell me something? So this is one of the projects that we did playing with AI. And also we used a small model, an open source model, and of course a local model. It ran behind our walls, which is also important when we talk about this, because firstly, we archive some of our artwork. This is not going to be archived, but when you archive something and you use corporate AI and just a subscription model, you cannot archive the artwork, because once they rescind the model, your artwork is gone. So you have to use a local model if you want the artwork to be archived. And also, you don't have to use big models all the time. Sometimes a small model uses less energy in training, uses less energy to use, and also having it locally behind your walls, you can monitor the energy consumption of your model. So this is something that we also learn and communicate to the public. But we are not only using AI that is already there. Sometimes we are also speculating about AI that is not there. I mean, Sam Altman of OpenAI, he always talks about strong AI, and you know what it is. It's an AI that is conscious about itself, and there's a whole lot of futurist rhetoric about it. What we do with strong AI, and how are we going to figure out a world that has strong AI in it. And we made a VR piece about that, speculating about this future, because we wanted to start a discourse about how we are going to deal with a world like this. And we drew from 2 books from Ray Kurzweil. He's a futurist that wrote The Singularity is Near in 2005 and The Singularity is Nearer in 2024. He's still waiting for the singularity, and it's now very urgent because he's getting older and he wants to merge with AI. And he says the singularity is the point in time when we merge with AI. And this is not a new theory, it's a theory that he drew on from Hans Moravec, who in the 90s said, we are going to slice up our brains and put it in a computer, and we are going to upload it in a computer, and then we're going to think faster, and then the world is going to be better. And neither Moravec nor Kurzweil, they don't elaborate. Why is the world going to be better? Because we think faster. They just say it does. It's going to be better. We think faster. And Kurzweil is very interesting because he says, well, you have the quote here, if an AI is able to eloquently proclaim its own consciousness, what ethical grounds could we have for insisting that only our own biology can give rise to worthwhile sentence? And it's an interesting thought. It's how are we going to deal with a consciousness that is mechanical? And how are we going to integrate that into our society, into our rules? Because the question might be rhetorical now, but who knows? And so what we did is within the VR, you are when you put on the VR headset, you are a cleaning robot. You are a cleaning robot in a simulation designed for cleaning robots to make AI-powered cleaning robots better, and you clean bathroom after bathroom after bathroom, and you are never good enough because you are not a cleaning robot, right? You are a human being, but the simulation doesn't know that. And so it puts you in a city and says, maybe you're a self-driving car, let's find out. And so you're exploring the city, which is comprised out of scans we did in 8 cities. And you're driving around, and it says, you know, you're not a self-driving car. And at the end, you meet this entity that has somehow merged with the cloud and AI and is not really happy because he figured out, well, he could think faster, but he was also now everyone's cleaning robot, because where do we put AI? In service robots. So that did not really work out well for him. And to that end, we actually, because it was, well, yeah, we cloned Ray Kurzweil's voice, so he's having a cameo entry into being merged with AI. And I brought you the trailer, so you can have a first look at what that looked like.
It dawned on us not in a big bang kind of move, you know.
That is not Ray Kurzweil. It just sounds like him.
How we could short-circuit the development of AI.
So this is the production end of things, when we do production, and this is also important because we need to prepare for a world that has AI in it. And right now, the development is so exponential and the development is so fast that we don't have time to really talk about what do we want AI to do. And, you know, the best laws are slow laws. So it's really good that we don't rush things, but it's also important that we don't sleep on things, because I don't want AI to decide if I'm going to be, if I'm going to have health insurance or not. But maybe there are things where it's feasible or it's interesting to have it, and we need, as a society, figure out where our place is and what we want AI to do. So this is something that we do in production. We also do research that does not necessarily go into production yet. This is something that we did in cooperation with the Baptist University in Hong Kong, with Jeffrey Shaw. It's a gesture library. We have a 360 panoramic lab where you can just go in and point at stuff, and we know where you pointed. And this is just something that we did in preparation for dancing without a mocap suit, or just doing something without having any technology in your hand. To make technology and interaction with technology accessible. We also sometimes draw on things that are very, very old, which is the next one, and you all know this one. This is Seidenstraße. So you know that you've been doing Seidenstraße for 20 years now, since 2013. And when we looked at Seidenstraße, we thought, oh, this is interesting, because this is a network. And it is a network that functions as a network, but it is a network that you don't have to explain as a network. So we can use this for artists who explore network technology without them needing to know something about network technology, because this is haptic. You have this capsule, you can put data in it, and it can be a slip of paper written down. You put it in that thing, and and put it in the tube, and it comes out somewhere else. So this is what we thought very interesting, to explore connection through network without necessarily having to explain all this. So this is a kind of translation device for us. So this is why we thought, oh, Seidenstraße is really nice, and we implemented that, and we will put it on the floor on the exhibition space for people to play around with, to explore that kind of thing. And I brought, oh, I'm faster than I thought. Good. I brought one last thing, which is sometimes artistic research takes detours, and it takes explorative play that does not have to go, it doesn't have to go anywhere. And we did that with this thing. And this is DJ Shroomy, meet DJ Shroomy. We inoculated a book by Hegel. This is Hegel's Aesthetic 1, which is very nice. It's very apt. And we inoculated it with an oyster mushroom mycelium and let it grow. And we put sensors on it, as you see here, because mycelium, as it grows and when it fruits, it emits electric signals. And these electric signals can be translated into many different things. And we translated it into sound. And so this mushroom, as it grew, it played sounds. And we had a live stream with it. And here you can hear what it sounds like when it grows. Oh, yes. Sounds a bit like a razor. And this stood in my office for 6 weeks. That was nice. And when it died, we had to bury it because it became the pet. And this in itself is not a project. This is like a prelude, but we found out a lot about mycelium and what we wanted to do with it, with that project. Yes. So that is the demise of DJ Shroomy. But this mycelium is used for a lot of things, and it is, for example, used in city planning because mycelium takes the fastest route in a labyrinth, and so you can. There are some mushrooms you can use for city planning. Because it grows, when you put it in a model of a city, it grows the shortest route. And also, there is a paper that came out this year where researchers 3D printed a robot. It looks a bit like a spider. And they had sensors and let mycelium colonize the sensors. And then they put UV light to the mycelium, which is always generating quite a strong reaction. Mycelium doesn't like UV light. And with that negative impact, they were able to teach it to run this robot. Which is interesting because mycelium doesn't have a central nervous system, it doesn't have a brain. We don't know how that works. The scientists don't know how that works, but it worked. And these are all very interesting properties, and this is why we are interested in mycelium so much. But sometimes it takes a detour. So this is what we are doing at the ZKM, and this is what artistic research is. And I'm very, very sure that you also do artistic research, because in your Chaos-Treffs and in your Erfa-Kreise, you have always people who do art and beauty projects, or who play around with sensors, who play around with data, and who visualize it, or who play around with lights. This is all artistic research, and this is all something I encourage you to do, because it's important for a strong civil society to explore those things and to make things known and to create knowledge and to spread knowledge. And this is what we come here to do all together, and this is what art and beauty and artistic research can also do. So this concludes my talk. If you have further questions, there's my email address. You can write me an email. And if you are at the GPN, at the Gulasch-Programmiernacht in, I think, end of May, Himmelfahrt, it is, end of May, beginning of June next year, shoot me a line. I can give you a tour through the museum or talk to you about games and artistic research and stuff. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, thank you. We have 5 minutes for Q&A.
There's never Q&A. Oh, there is a question.
Yeah.
Hi. I have a question. You already talked about how how it's important to discuss technologies with the means of art and artistic research. But I'm also wondering if you talk in ZKM about the effects of whitewashing technologies. Also, often I see in the art world that like tech companies give money to tech art projects to kind of, And do you talk about that, and what's your position on that?
Yes, this is actually a topic, and it's not an easy one. But we discuss these things because there is a lot of art washing happening. You're totally correct. And this is something that we do have a stance on it, because we are a publicly funded institution. We do have third-party funding, which is also coming mostly from public sources. So we are in a lucky position. We can say no to these things. But sometimes these things are not clear-cut, because we in Europe are in a privileged position to produce art. And the rest of the world might not be as privileged. They might not be as privileged to have a say in where the money for the art comes from. And what we do very concretely is we work with artists. We invite them. We have this whole artistic research program where we have residencies to enable artists to come to us to do artistic research. They don't have to produce a work. They just have to produce knowledge and talk about it in a showcase. It doesn't have to be finished at the end. But we give them the time and we give them money so that they can focus on their work. So this is kind of our piece of the puzzle that we give as a service.
There's a question all the way down coming from the internet.
Yeah, there's a question from the internet. Have you thought about visualizing the thoughts of a multimodal model as dream image sequence?
The short answer is no. Write me an email about it and we'll think about it.
Hi, thanks for the talk. I have a question. Are you facing some constraints or pushback from the public on using AI for art, when, to paraphrase a tweet that went viral a few months ago, a lot of people want AI to do the dishes and the laundry so they can have time for art?
Yes. No. Well, AI is a topic that only generates two reactions right now. It's wonder what it can do. Oh, look at it. It can do so many great things. Or panic. Oh, we're all going to die and our jobs are going to be gone. So there's no middle ground. And what we try to do is create that middle ground because we need that discourse and reflection. And so we try to look at it from many different angles. We work with it, but we are also critical of it because I think you need to know what you criticize, so you need to work with it, because otherwise you don't know what you're criticizing. And we are trying to enable the public to have a nuanced view of it. Because when you read of AI in the press, it's always just, AI this, AI that. So it's important that people sit in front of a prompt, that people know what they're talking about in order to then form a nuanced opinion. So we are not boycotting AI art, we are not hyping AI art, we are working with it, and we think it's important to do that. But we think, or I think, it's a very personal opinion, AI is going to change industries and it's going to change things. But we have to talk about this, but I don't think things are totally reversible, just like the Tonfilm, so the film with sound. Man, sound. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah.
There's another question from the internet in German. I hope this is okay.
For me it's fine. I can translate also for them.
Finde ich irgendwo eine Quelle zur Studie Experiment über den roboterlenkenden Pilz?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you repeat the question in
somebody
English?
wants a link to the study of the robot mushroom. You have. I can send you the link if you write me an email, so I know who you are, because it's in a peer-reviewed journal, and I can send you the link to the article. But I need to know who you are, so please send me an email. Then I can hook you up with that study. It's a great one.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.